How many of the world's capital cities can you name?
Paris?
Rome.
Tokyo? Yeah.
America, Washington, D.C.
London.
Obviously Canberra.
Moscow.
Yeah, that's actually
Pretty good, guys. But considering there are about 195 countries in the world, I think you missed a few.
Well, let's see you name them then.
Fine.
In alphabetical order.
Fine. There's Abu Dhabi in the UAE, and then there's Abuja, there's Accra, there's Addis Ababa, that's the capital of Ethiopia. Okay, even if you don't know all of the world's capitals, you've probably heard a lot of them before. Each one of these important places was picked by a country's government or its states or counties, and it's usually written in a country's law or constitution. While some really old cities like London were big, bustling places before getting their capital badge, others were built specifically to be a nation's capital, like Canberra. That's because Sydney and Melbourne couldn't decide between them, so compromise. Obviously, capitals aren't always the biggest, busiest, most famous cities in the country. Sorry, Canberra. And while they're usually where the government and any kings and queens live and work, that's not always the case. Take Amsterdam. It's the official capital of the Netherlands, but the Dutch Parliament, Supreme Court and all those other super important things are located here in a city called The Hague. Vreemd. That's Dutch for strange. To make things even more confusing, there's one country with no official capital, Nauru, while South Africa has 3. There's Mexico City, there's Minsk, Mogadishu, Monaco, Monrovia. So clearly capitals are complicated and sometimes controversial, and they can also change. Russia switched capitals in 1919, going from St. Petersburg to Moscow, because it was harder for another country to invade. And in 1960, Brazil built a whole new city, Brasilia, to replace Rio de Janeiro as its capital because it was getting way too crowded. Now Indonesia is considering switching its capital. At the moment, that's Jakarta, Indonesia's busiest and biggest city. It's home to more than 10 million people, and that causes a huge amount of traffic and pollution. Oh, and it's also sinking. Jakarta's built on very swampy land near the coast, and it's crisscrossed by 13 rivers. So floods are frequent, and they're getting worse, partly because of rising sea levels, but also because people are pumping out a lot of groundwater, causing the ground above to literally sink. Some experts reckon that by 2050, 95% of North Jakarta will be underwater. Moving capitals would take time, effort, and a lot of money. And the government hasn't chosen a replacement yet, but it reckons it can pull it off. Yamoussoukro, and then there's Yaoundé, that's the capital of... So next time you're naming capitals of the world, you might want to double check your list. And Zagreb.
Oh, finally.
You win.
Thanks. Well, I think school's over. You probably better go.
How did she even remember that? I don't know.
That's impossible.
Thanks, Jack. I think they were really impressed.
Great. That was weird.